Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I just hit my 1 year kind of anniversary of automotive fabrication and welding working on my BMW E30 behind me. If you're anything like me, the advice out there on the internet is definitely overwhelming with how to get started in this, what you need to get started in this, and kind of how to go about fabricating your own parts and working on, in my case, rust repairs on my car. So I just want to take a little bit of time today and go through 5 tools, accessories, things that I thought kind of elevated my progress working on my car. Now, I'm not talking about super basic things like your welder or kind of really basic tools that I would think anybody that is looking to do this would already have. I just want to go and show the next level of tools that I think would really help kind of elevate your work and make things a lot easier in your garage or in your workshop. Again, I would still consider myself a beginner with just 1 year of experience here. I don't have shrinkers or stretchers or an English wheel or a metal brake or any of the fancy equipment that you might see on some other channels. Would like to have it someday, but now everything is still pretty manual and pretty basic. So yeah, let's jump into the list and I'll let you know what I think would be a good buy coming up next. To start off with number 1, I think it's probably the best tool on the list or the best item on the list. So if this is all you see, you've definitely seen the best suggestion. It's going to be a spot weld drill bit. These are surprisingly affordable, and the one I picked up came with a kit of, I don't know what that is, maybe 10 extra bits, and most of them are double-sided, so you can flip it around and get even more use out of it. This is a consumable. You will go through it depending on how many spot welds you have. But like I said, this kit comes with a ton, very affordable, and really makes quick work of all of your spot welds that you might have to drill out. Where the benefit of this spot weld drill bit is, there's this pin in the middle, which you might either poke a hole or drill a small pilot hole where this will rest into, and then there's a spring inside that'll compress as you push the actual like drill bit part against the metal, and it'll cut out a ring that you can then separate without drilling gigantic holes through the back panel that you might want to save and that you're going to be doing additional welding onto. Having these nice and sharp and being able to change out to the backups makes a huge difference as you go through to drill all of your spot welds out. I know I'm going through my inner rockers right now, or I guess my rocker panels now, and to get to the inner panel, so many spot welds. These cars, I don't know how many in total, but I think it would be kind of a fun number to count one day. Probably 30 or 40 just for one side of my rocker panels. And yeah, this makes quick work of them. Item number 2 is going to be a little bit more basic that I think most people probably have access to. And mine came with the welding table that I picked up, but it's going to be these magnets for welding. These work pretty good. You can see it has a bunch of kind of metal dust because I just throw these around. I'm not using them. But yeah, having these help get my patch panels into place, frees up a hand so I can kind of focus on really getting my welds done. As a beginner, I'm not very good at holding the piece of metal and welding it. So these magnets really came in handy. They're cheap. There's different sizes of them. These have different angles, different bends, depending on how you might want to frame up your patch panel or whatever part you're welding to something else. Really nice. I think an easy, cheap starter item for this. If I were to invest into the next stage, I think there are some panel gap items where it can kind of wedge in there and then tighten down to maintain your gaps. Or I guess the top thing that I see a lot of people use are those clecos, which will hold the panels in. But yeah, as a starter, grab some magnets. Item number 3 might be up for debate on, is this the right thing to get? But what I'm suggesting is a ball peen hammer. You can see it has a rounded section and a flat section. Surprisingly, all I had really before this was kind of a normal wood carpentry hammer and then a rubber mallet and a sledge. So not a lot of hammer options, but I will say beyond this, the internet has a ton of hammer options, different shapes, different functions. But I think starting out, this ball peen hammer has really come in handy, whether I'm pairing it with kind of bending panels on my vise to get a nice 90-degree bend, or if I need to just kind of hammer the panel as I'm welding it in, it might warp a little bit. The hammers really come into use getting both flat sections and then trying to get a little bit of curvature in some panels as needed. And like I said, there's a ton of hammer options. I think that's one of the things next on my list as well, is to invest into more hammers. There's some nice kits out there, but for now, something cheap, something to get started with. Like I said, I've gone through about 50% of my E30 so far using the tools that I'm talking about today. So for this next item, it's going to be a little bit more specialized, but I think it comes in handy working on vehicles. So you probably at this point should already have angle grinder or die grinder with some sanding discs. That's probably the bare minimum to get started in this field and working on your car. But if you want to take it one step further, I would really recommend getting a band file belt sander. It has a little band here that you can change out sanding pads. I'm down to my last spare one, so I'm going to have to end up buying some more of these consumables. They wear down, they last an okay amount, but yeah, to get the best bang for your buck and to save the most amount of time, you're probably going to want to change these out fairly often. This particular one, it can swivel around and get into different sections, and obviously the point of contact is very small, so you're not tearing up a lot of other metal around where you're trying to sand. This has been really helpful when I'm welding back in my spot welds. I can just focus on that spot weld and not any of the other metal, or if there's more of a tight section that I can't get, I have a 4.5-inch angle grinder. This belt sander really kind of fills in where that angle grinder doesn't fit. So yeah, worth the purchase. I went with a quartered one just so I don't have to worry about battery life on this, as I'm dealing with batteries on other stuff. I figured one thing can never fail me if I just always have it plugged in when I'm using it. It doesn't do anything for me for uncovering rust or removing paint, removing undercoating, but when I'm cleaning up my welds afterwards, because I'm doing a lot of MIG welding, it makes a bit of a mess, a bit of a mound, especially if I mess up a bit. Yeah, this does a great job of cleaning up my welds for me. Quick bonus tip before I finish the list. This was the original welding helmet I got. It has the auto darkening. You can see the screen's not too big. It's a little difficult to look out of, but again, this was an affordable first option to get started with. But if you have the budget, if you want to splurge on something, I highly recommend grabbing a high quality welding helmet. You can already see how much larger your field of vision is going to be out of this. And something about this screen, way more visible to see out of. It does a great job. To me, it's actually helped a lot. I don't have to hold a flashlight to try to be able to see where I'm welding if I'm in the car somewhere dark. The visibility out of this screen, just worlds better than what I had on my cheap version. But again, this is way more expensive. It's a nicer quality thing, so if you want to treat yourself, definitely treat yourself to a really nice welding helmet. This one in particular, there it is up top. It's Lincoln Electric and a Viking model. Yeah, look into it. Grab your helmet if you need it. But again, this basic one from I think Eastwood will do the job if you're on a pinch. The last item I want to dig into is something that probably seems a little bit basic. I didn't have one at first, and I gotta say I have a lot of fun using it, but it's just a panel splitter. It's the nice piece of metal with a rubberized, I guess, handle for comfort, but it's got a pointed edge on one side and it's beveled on the top. So you kind of have two angles of attack. You can either wedge it in between your panel, hit it and move it sideways, or you can use the top and wedge into something. At first, I was just using a really fat screwdriver with a long handle that I had, but that was tearing up my panels as I was separating it. Using this in combination with the spot weld drill bit really does save the panels, so you don't have to rescue a lot of torn up panels. It saves you time, probably saves you money in the end. This, again, a cheap item, really nice to have. I use it almost every day that I'm working on the car. Can't recommend it enough. So yeah, I think that's my list of 5 items to grab if you're looking into becoming a beginner auto fabricator or welder, and you just need kind of the next set of items. These things, like I said, I use most of them on the daily as I'm going through my car. I really can't think about working on the car without these items. And none of them were too expensive, so none of this really will make you go broke trying to work on your car. I know we're spending enough money buying car parts, so we can't be worrying about losing all our money to tools. Let me know what you think. Are you using these items? Do you have something else you would recommend? Please drop that down into the comments. Let's start a discussion. Let's talk about what tools we like. I know if you're this far into the video, you probably like cars, you probably like tools, so let's get talking about it. And with that, thanks for watching.